Aries, let's talk about the second half of November 2025 and what it is really doing in your life. If you have Aries as your sun, moon, rising, or Venus, this is for you. You are walking into mid month with the memory of what the first half already put you through. People may have pushed your limits. Small things seem to trigger big reactions. Old patterns showed up wearing new faces. You might have felt like every time you caught your breath, something else demanded your attention. And because you are Aries, you probably handled most of it by stepping up, taking charge, and doing what needed to be done, even if no one else was ready. Now the energy shifts. The universe is not asking you to push harder, it is asking you to aim better. Instead of putting out every fire for everyone, you are being invited to realize that you are the fire. Your energy is not a free public resource. It is a sacred, limited fuel source that is meant to be directed toward what actually matters to your soul. In the second half of November, the theme is simple. You are allowed to be selective. You may notice that you are less willing to react to everything right away. A text comes in and you do not instantly respond. A problem appears and you do not instantly fix it. A familiar piece of drama tries to tug at your attention, and instead of jumping in like you always have, you pause. That pause is powerful. That pause is you reclaiming your choice. Just because you can carry it does not mean you should. Just because you can solve it does not mean it is your problem. In love and relationships, this shift becomes especially obvious. The second half of November highlights who really sees you and who just sees what you do for them. If you're in a relationship, you may feel less patient with vague language, half efforts, or emotional avoidance. You want honesty, you want clear signals, you want to feel like you are building something real together, not just managing logistics or walking around the same unspoken tension. And there might be a conversation that has been hanging in the air for a while, the kind where you already know what you need to say, but have kept it pushed down. Maybe you did not want to rock the boat. Maybe you were tired of being the one who starts something. Mid November brings that conversation back to the surface. This time, instead of pushing it away again, you are ready to let the truth out in a calmer, cleaner way. Not to attack, not to blame, just to be real about what your heart needs and what your limits are. When you do that, well, one of two things tends to happen. Either the person across from you meets you with honesty of their own and the bond deepens, or the truth reveals a gap that was already there. If your partner is ready to grow, this period can mark a turning point in intimacy. A deeper level of mutual respect can form when you stop protecting them from your real feelings. If they are not ready, you may finally see where you have been carrying the weight of the relationship on your own. If you are single, your standards are quietly rising. You might feel an almost physical resistance when you sense someone who is inconsistent, flaky, or emotionally unavailable, where you once may have been drawn into the chase or into the puzzle of figuring someone out. Now there's a tired part of you that whispers, I do not want to be a project manager for someone's emotional life. You are more attracted to people who are grounded, self-aware, and capable of showing up as an equal. You still want spark, but you want stability too. You want someone who respects your independence and your ambition, not someone who is threatened by it. There is a deeper self-love story underneath all of this. Every time you choose not to entertain confusion, every time you stop chasing clarity from someone who keeps you guessing, you send a message to yourself. My time is valuable, my heart is not a testing ground, and my energy is not free. Love in late November becomes less about proving that you are worth choosing and more about acting from the knowledge that you already are. Work and money are also in focus, but in a different way than before. Early November may have felt like scrambling, like putting out fires, like handling surprise tasks or last-minute demands. The second half of the month invites you into strategy. Instead of asking, how do I get through this day? The question becomes, where is all of this effort actually taking me? You start looking at your work, your responsibilities, and your goals with a clearer, more long-term lens. You might notice where the balance is off. Maybe you are doing more than your job description implies, but the title and pay have not caught up. Maybe you are constantly available to clients, coworkers, or customers, even outside of hours, and it is quietly wearing you down. Maybe you are pouring your best energy into tasks that do not move you closer to the career or life you really want. Mid-November gives you the courage to admit where you feel underused, underpaid, or misaligned. This is a powerful time to renegotiate something in your work life. That might mean having a direct conversation about responsibilities, pay, or boundaries. It might mean saying no to a project that your old self would have automatically accepted. It might also mean finally giving serious thought to a new path, a side business, a different role, or a fresh direction you have been circling around in your mind. You do not have to overhaul your whole life overnight, but you are being encouraged to make at least one move that is aligned with the future you want, not the past you are trying to survive. Financially, the energy supports simplification and clarity. Instead of avoiding the numbers, you are being guided to actually look. Where is your money going? Which expenses no longer make sense? Which habits are about stress relief or boredom rather than real enjoyment? As you look at these patterns without judgment, you get the chance to shift them. Small changes now, like cutting one draining expense or choosing to save instead of spending on impulse, signal to yourself that you are ready to handle more. Underneath the outer events, there is important inner work happening. Anger, frustration, and irritation may have been bubbling up more often than usual. You might catch yourself reacting strongly to something small and then feeling confused or guilty about it later. Mid-November invites you to see those reactions as information rather than proof that something is wrong with you. For Aries, anger has often been the most accessible emotion, the one that feels strong and clear. But beneath the anger, there are usually softer feelings that did not feel safe to show when you were younger. Hurt, disappointment, fear of being unsupported, fear that if you do not handle everything, no one will. Now you are ready to sit with those softer layers. When you feel yourself getting worked up, you can practice asking, what is this really about for me? What does this remind me of? Where in my life do I still feel like I have to be the strong one all the time? As you start to name those deeper truths, the pressure inside you begins to release. You do not have to explode to be honest. You do not have to shut down to stay safe. You are allowed to feel what you feel and still choose how you respond. Your intuition is also becoming sharper. You may notice little inner signals about people and decisions, quiet pulls toward certain choices, and away from others. You might get a strange feeling in your body when you are about to say yes to something that is not really right for you. You might hear a small inner no before your mind starts coming up with logical reasons to go along with something anyway. The second half of November encourages you to listen more closely to those first signals. They are not random. They are your inner guidance system trying to protect your energy and guide you toward what actually supports you. Spiritually, this is a period of redefining what courage looks like. For much of your life, courage has meant moving forward, taking action, jumping into the unknown that is still part of who you are. But now, bravery also looks like resting when you're tired. It looks like saying, I cannot be available for everyone all the time. It looks like asking for help instead of pretending you are fine. It looks like admitting when something is not working for you anymore, even if it once did. You may feel newly drawn to practices that help you calm your nervous system and center your energy. That might be as simple as taking a quiet walk with your phone on silent, journaling out your thoughts without editing them, or sitting for a few minutes with your hand over your heart and noticing your breath. These small moments of stillness are not a waste of time. They are how you recalibrate. They are how you decide what deserves your energy next. As the month moves towards close, you could start to feel a subtle but real difference inside yourself. You may not feel louder, but you feel steadier. You may still care deeply, but you are not running into every emotional fire. You might still be busy, but you are less scattered. You start to realize that when you protect your time, when you respect your own capacity, life starts to respond to you differently. People notice your boundaries. Opportunities that match your focus show up. The noise gets quieter and the signal gets stronger. As you move through daily life in these weeks, notice the small choices that add up. You may find yourself about to say yes to a favor you do not have time for, and then feel that tiny pause before you answer. That is your growth. You may catch yourself about to send a long message explaining or defending yourself to someone who has already shown they do not listen. And instead, you choose silence or a short, clear reply. That is your growth. You may feel the urge to check your phone first thing in the morning and then decide just once to sit with your own thoughts for a few minutes before letting the world in. That, too, is your growth. In love, growth might look like noticing the difference between chemistry and compatibility. The spark is exciting, but does this person show up when it matters? Do they respect your time? Do they make room for your dreams, or do they only make room for themselves in your schedule? You are not being too picky for asking these questions. You are honoring how much you have already given in past connections that did not know what to do with your loyalty. This time you get to choose from a place of self-respect instead of hunger. At work, growth might look like choosing one priority at the start of the day and actually keeping it. Even if chaos tries to pull you in 5 directions, you keep returning to that one thing you promised yourself. You would move forward. You might still answer emails, still deal with people's needs, but you do not abandon your own agenda entirely. Little by little, this rebuilds your sense that your life is not just a reaction to everyone else's plans you are steering, even when the waters are choppy. Emotionally, growth in late November might surprise you by feeling softer, not tougher. You may cry more easily when something touches you. You may have moments of humility where you admit, that really hurt me, instead of brushing it off. You might reach out to someone you trust and say, I need to talk, instead of handling it alone. This is not weakness. This is what happens when a warrior learns that taking off the armor for a while is part of staying alive. So as the month unfolds, let yourself notice and celebrate these subtle shifts. Every time you choose not to overextend, every time you give yourself permission to rest, every time you act from clarity instead of pressure, you are rewiring the story you have been living in. You are teaching your mind and body that it is safe to live differently now. And when you pair that inner shift with the tools, insights, and support available to you through your other sign horoscopes, through the readings and apps at MysticBolt.com, and through your own growing self-awareness, you turn this mid-month moment into something much bigger than just a forecast. You turn it into a doorway. This Aries message is only one layer of what November is activating for you. To get a fuller picture, make sure you also listen to the horoscopes for your sun, moon, rising, and Venus. Signs your rising sign often describes the kind of weather you are walking through in your outer life. Your moon sign speaks to the emotional story underneath the surface. Your sun sign points to your core identity and what keeps you feeling alive and on purpose. Your Venus sign colors your experience of love, money, and attraction. When you listen to all of them together, the scattered pieces of your month start to form a clear, meaningful pattern. You can also listen to the signs of the people you care about, hearing the messages for your partner's sign, your crush's sign, your children's signs, or even your friends and coworkers can give you surprising empathy. You begin to understand where their pressure points are, what they might be working through, and how your journeys are intersecting. Suddenly, it is not just they are being difficult, but they are under their own kind of pressure right now. That insight can soften conflict and deepen connection. When you are ready to go beyond a general horoscope and into something more personal and interactive, come visit MysticBolt.com. There you will find tarot card spreads designed to help you make decisions in love, career, money, and life direction. you will find astrology tools that let you explore your chart in more detail and understand your own patterns more clearly. You will see a growing collection of spiritual and divination apps created to support you through turning points, just like the one you are in now, with guidance you can return to whenever you need it. For now, take a breath and remember this: you do not have to dim your fire to find peace. You are simply learning how to aim it. The second half of November is your training ground in selective energy. You are allowed to step back from what drains you. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to invest your passion in what truly matters to you. When you do not become less Aries. You become the version of yourself that your future has been waiting for.